For decades, the promise of PC gaming and console generations was simple. Technology gets better, and eventually it gets cheaper. Moore's Law was our best friend. We waited, we saved, and we upgraded. But something broke. If you tried building a PC in the last year, or if you looked at the price tag of a PS5 Pro and felt a pit in your stomach, you know it. We aren't just dealing with inflation anymore. We're dealing with displacement. Gaming is no longer the priority customer for the companies that build our future. We have been demoted. There is a new buyer in town, one with deeper pockets, an insatiable appetite for power, and a blank check from Wall Street. Artificial intelligence isn't just generating images and writing emails. It is physically consuming the supply chain that the video games rely on. It is driving up the cost of memory. It is monopolizing the world's most advanced factories, and it's straining our power grids to the breaking point. Today, we're going to talk about why your next GPU, your next Xbox, and the PlayStation 6 are about to get a lot more expensive. We're going to look at the power wall that tech giants are ignoring, and finally, we're going to talk about the only thing that might save us, the bursting of the AI bubble. To understand why gaming is getting priced out, we have to stop looking at the price tag and start looking at the factory floor. Specifically, we need to talk about VRAM and system memory. In 2024 and throughout 2025, we saw something terrifying in the PC market. RAM prices, which had been stable, suddenly doubled. Why? Because AI just doesn't need processing power, it needs memory. Massive amounts of it. AI servers use something called HBM, high bandwidth memory. It is incredibly fast, incredibly expensive, and incredibly hard to make. The three major memory manufacturers, Samsung, SK, and Hynix, and Micron, have all pivoted their production lines to chase this AI gold rush. Here's the problem. A factory line making AI memory cannot make gaming memory at the same time. Every wafer of silicon dedicated to a NVIDIA H100 or an AI server is a wafer not used for your RTX 5080 or your DDR5 RAM kit. This is simple supply and demand, but with a twist. The demand side is inflation. Right now, companies like Microsoft, Google, and Meta are buying every scrap of high-end silicon that leaves the factory at any price. Gamers, we are price sensitive. If a GPU costs $2,000, we won't buy it. But if an AI chip costs $30,000, OpenAI will buy tens of thousands of them without blinking. NVIDIA and AMD aren't just villains in a comic book, they are corporations. And right now, selling to gamers is simply bad business compared to selling to AI. This AI tax is why the mid-range GPU market feels dead. Why would they sell you a chip for $400? When that same silicon could be part of a server rack selling $4 million. And it's not just GPUs, it's the copper, it's the capacitors, and it's the packaging. We are fighting for scraps at the table of giants. But let's zoom out. Let's say we solve the manufacturing issue. Let's say we build 10 new factories. We still run into a wall that no amount of money can instantly fix. Physics. The user TechRealist25 mentioned something crucial in a comment I saw recently. AI is being pushed without a proper power source, and our tech isn't fully there yet. They are absolutely right. AI training models are energy black holes. A single ChatGPT query burns significantly more electricity than a Google search. Now multiply that by billions of queries and millions of training hours. We are building data centers that require as much power as an entire city. In places like North Virginia, the internet's capital, new data centers are being told they might have to wait years for a power hookup. So how does this hurt gamers? Two ways. First, utility costs. As AI drives up the demand for electricity, the cost of running your 800-watt gaming PC goes up. But secondly, and more importantly, it limits the design of future hardware. We are hitting a thermal and electrical ceiling. We can't just keep pumping more wattage into GPUs to make them faster because the infrastructure both in our homes and on the grid can't take it. The brute force method of getting better graphics is dying. The tech industry is pushing AI before the battery technology, the cooling technology, and the power generation are ready to support it efficiently. And who pays for that inefficiency? The consumer. We pay in higher hardware prices to cover the R&D, and we pay in performance stagnation because we can't just throw more power at a problem anymore. So what does this mean for the boxes that sit under our TVs? If you thought that the $700 PS5 Pro was a fluke, I have bad news for you. It was just a test run. Rumors are swirling about the next generation. Let's start with Xbox. The leak suggests that Microsoft is moving away from the loss leader strategy, where they sell the console at a loss to sell you games. The next Xbox is rumored to be a hybrid, part console, part Windows PC, a premium device that costs $800 or even $8,000. Why? Because to get that next-gen leap, in a world where AI has inflated the cost of RAM and processors, you cannot build a $500 box anymore, not without making massive compromises. Then there's the PS6. If RAM prices stay this high due to AI demand, Sony has a choice. Release a weak console for $500 or a powerful one for $800. The PS5 Pro proved there is a market for expensive consoles, and AI economics might force their hand to make that the new standard. And what about handhelds? This is where the pain is most acute. The Steam Deck is a miracle of pricing, but Valve has stated they are waiting for a generational leap before the Steam Deck 2. That leap is getting harder to afford. A portable chip that handles next-gen games requires expensive, dense silicon. If Valve releases a Steam Deck 2 in this AI-inflated market, they either have to eat a massive loss or charge $800. This is why we are seeing delays. The tech exists, but the price doesn't. Sony is rumored to be working on a native handheld, a real successor to the Vita. Not just a streaming portal, but again, look at the competitors. The Asus ROG Ally X is a $800 device. A true PS6 handheld would be fighting for the same chips that AI startups are bidding. The era of cheap console generation is likely over. The middle class of gaming hardware is being hollowed out. This brings us to PC gaming. The budget build is on life support. 5 years ago, you could build a console killer PC for $500. Today, you can barely buy the graphics card and the RAM for that. Because AI has driven up the floor of component costs, entry-level parts aren't just getting cheaper, they're just disappearing. Nvidia and AMD are incentivized to use their limited factory capacity for high margin, high performance parts. They aren't making cheap chips because a cheap chip takes up space on the assembly line that could be used for an expensive AI chip. This is dangerous. If kids can't afford to get into PC gaming, the hobby stops growing. We are pricing out the next generation of gamers because the industry is too busy chasing the AI dragon. Is it all doom and gloom? No, there's one scenario that brings prices back down. We have to hope the bubble pops. Many financial analysts are screaming that the current AI spending is unsustainable. Companies are spending hundreds of billions of dollars on hardware, but they aren't making hundreds of billions in profit from it yet. If or when Wall Street realizes that AI isn't going to replace every human employee next week, the investment money will dry up. If the bubble pops, two things will happen. One, demand for HBM memory collapses, freeing up factories to make DDR5 or GDDR6 for us again. Price drops. Two, the second-hand market gets flooded with enterprise cards, forcing Nvidia and AMD to compete for our money again. We saw this with crypto. When the crypto crash happened, GPU prices plummeted. We need the same thing to happen to the AI hype cycle. We need the market to correct itself so that gamers become the VIP consumer again, not just a backup plan. Gaming is resilient. We've survived crypto miners, we've survived scalpers, and we've survived chip shortages. But AI is a different beast. It's a structural shift in how silicon is valued. The next few years are going to be expensive. The PS6 will hurt your wallet. The next Xbox might cost as much as a used car, and building a PC will feel like a luxury investment. But technologies mature, power grids adapt, and bubbles eventually burst. Until then, hold on to your current hardware, cherish your Steam Deck, and maybe, just maybe, hope that tech giants figure out that they still need us, the gamers, to keep the lights on when the hype dies down. Thank you for watching. If you're still rocking a GTX 1080, let me know in the comments. You're the real MVP, and remember, you're pretty good.